In the early days of the colony of Vancouver Island, the law was administered by justices of the peace, but in certain situations, it appeared a higher court was needed. And in the BC archives are the earliest documents from the creation of BC's first Supreme Court.
It's the earliest written court records in British Columbia.
From 1849 until 1858, the colony of Vancouver Island had two masters, the Hudson's Bay Company and the Government of Great Britain. The governor, James Douglas,
he had the authority as governor to appoint justices of the peace to manage issues that needed court action or resolution through the courts, and that wasn't working very well. So in 1853, he decided that a higher court was needed.
Douglas created a Supreme Court of Civil Justice of Vancouver Island and appointed his sister's husband as Chief Justice.
His brother-in-law, David Cameron, was not a lawyer, did not have any legal training, and it was fairly apparent that his only qualification seemed to be that he was married to Douglas's sister.
There was plenty of protest from the citizens of Victoria.
However, Douglas was able to convince the colonial authorities in Britain that Cameron was suited for the job.
And so in 1856, David Cameron was tasked with drafting the rules of procedure for the court, which became the first book printed in the colony. In his 12 years as Chief Justice, Cameron presided over many cases, including that of Charles Mitchell, a young slave in Washington Territory discovered hiding in a ship bound for Victoria. The ship's captain fought with local residents to keep Mitchell from landing, and the case came before Cameron,
whose judgment was that, yes, he was on British soil and slavery had been abolished under British law, and therefore he was free.
As the colony grew, more and more residents demanded a Chief Justice with a legal background. In 1865,
Cameron was persuaded to step down,
but only after his son-in-law W.A.G. Young negotiated a generous pension. Cameron died in 1872 from gout, but not before going through all his money.
He had to declare bankruptcy in the Supreme Court, where he had once been Chief Justice.
A story from our province's history entrusted to the BC Archives.
This Week in History, brought to you by the Royal BC Museum, bringing British Columbia's stories together.